Well, hello everyone. It's just Dwayne. Let's talk some gear. Well, good day everyone. Today we're going to talk about my tarp. I actually have a couple of tarps. The first one I got was a Warbonnet Superfly with doors. I absolutely love it. It's nice and large. I really like a large tarp because if it's raining I don't want to get wet. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Down in the south it rains pretty good bit in the area where I live, and when it rains hard. It rains real hard. It may not rain long, but it'll rain hard, and so I really like having the coverage of it. The other thing is I like to camp year round, and while I'm not getting Minnesota cold here, it gets cold enough for me, and I like being able to have doors on my tarp that I can close off, A, if there's inclement weather, and B, if it's just getting cold and I want to keep that wind out. So what I was really looking for was a system that would give me the coverage of the Superfly, the convenience of the doors, but weighed a whole lot less. And Joe at ZPacks was able to fit the bill for me. What I've got is a tarp that weighs in at 8.7 ounces, and that's with a continuous ridge line, with all the tie outs, with a little no-seam mesh tarp python that I sewed to keep it all together, because I really like the deployment of that. Similar to the python that you see on my hammock, I have a similar one from my tarp, which you'll see in a minute. And if you add the outer bag, which I've been using lately just because it keeps it neat, it's 0.1 ounces. So, you know, I'm not a real good gram weenie. I've really worked on reducing my load, but it just gets real tough when you get to the last grams. If you can come up with, you know, a system that keeps everything together and nice and neat, you don't have to worry about it. You know, I add those couple of grams back. It's like about 1.5 ounces for 8 titanium stakes and a little ZPacks stake bag. You can say there's the stakes. Two of these stakes actually go to my cook system, so it's not really fair to count them in the weight. The ones that I actually use for the tarp, you see I painted them fluorescent yellow at the top. Well, I painted the whole thing fluorescent yellow, and what that does is just these are so small that when I stick them in the ground, if I don't have them painted, it's almost impossible to find them. So I will say that they are lightweight, and they're lightweight both in the actual, you know, weight of them, but also in their strength. So if you really need something to hold up, I don't think they'll break or bend. But the problem is, if you have really hard ground, when you go to push these in, they're really springy. So you end up pushing over and over and over and over and over until you find a spot where you can get it to kind of slide down in. Or if the ground's really soft, they're not all that long, and they're so thin that if you push them in, they'll kind of start at one to pull out. So the kind of the way I get around that is, if the ground's too hard that I can't tie them off, then I'll either find a different place to hang, or I'll find some rocks and use rock tie outs, and that seems to work fine. And if the ground's too soft, I may use these as the tie out and then put a rock or a log on top of it, and that just keeps it from pulling out, and that's worked well for me. So don't know if it will work for you, but it works for me, and it saves me a lot of weight. So, okay, next is the tarp itself. Again, it came with a little pouch, Cuben Fiber pouch from ZPack, and I really like it just because it keeps it all together, keeps my lines together. If I really wanted to save the weight, then I could just take the tarp and I could roll the lines around themselves, and you know, back around the tarp, and that's the way I did my Superfly, and that works fine, and it would save me another 1/10 of an ounce. So I may or may not do that. We'll see how that goes. But for right now, this is working. And this thing is just so light. When you hold it, you feel like it's not really that can't possibly work. But I'll tell you, this thing has been great. So let's talk some more about some of the features. Alright, so here's how I've hooked up my continuous ridge line. I had a whoopee sling from continuous ridge line from Opie, and that works great, but I was really wanting to try to save a little bit of weight, and so it's hard to focus in on this, it's so small. But so, you know, Dutch, our friend Dutch, he just comes up with the most amazing things, and so what I ordered was what's called a Dutch hook, and you can get them out on his site. I think they cost $4 or something. It's a little piece of titanium. I mean, here's my finger, the end of my finger. You can see how small it is. I recommend if you get them, tie them onto something right away, because these are so small they will get lost. And so I just tie that to the end of my continuous ridge line, which I also got from him. I think it's 1.75 millimeter. It might be 1.25. I'll have to try to check. But so basically what I did was I just tied it on. You know, I could do a berry and all that kind of stuff, but I frankly was lazy. So I just did a knot, and that seems to work. And then whenever I'm ready to hook it up, I'll tie this off to the end of the tree, and then I just clip that back onto itself. And you see that makes the loop for one side. In my case, it's the foot end of the hammock is where I always use this. So there's one side. Okay, for the other side, what I use is what I believe he calls Dutch flies, F-L-Y-Z. Again, piece of titanium, really light. And the way this side works is once the tarp is up, I can go ahead and slide the whole ridge line through these two holes. And Dutch talks about how to lock that in. I have not ever done it. It hasn't seemed to need it. There's enough tension on there. Although if I was in a gale force, you know, maybe I'd think about it. But basically what you do is, you know, you wrap around the tree, and when you come back, then you put the line back through that eye and pull it tight. And once you have it as tight as you want it, you wrap this around and pull it through the opening there. And then what you can do for additional safety is you can wrap this over, wrap it back around, wrap it over, wrap it back around, and pull that through again. And I'm telling you, this thing does not move. So each of those Dutch connections weighs in at, I don't know, maybe a gram, a couple grams. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, if you're using this system, believe me, you're using as little weight as humanly possible to hold up a continuous ridge line. So now that I've shown you the system, the end connectors, let's go ahead and rig up the hammock. Again, I'm going to use the hook on the foot end of my hammock. So you see, that was about as easy as it gets. Now, it's summertime here, so I tend to put my tarp up as high as I can get it, counting on the large size of it to give me coverage when it rains. I want it to be as high as I can so I can maximize my views. Coming out to the woods, so I want to be able to see as much as I can. And by keeping it up high, the breezes, I can also optimize the breeze, whatever there is that can get up under and protect me. So you see, I keep the whole thing inside some skins. In this case, it's a python, similar to what I explained in my hammock video. So what I did with it was I just took some no-see-um mesh because it's so light, and frankly, it maybe could let my tarp dry out. Would it dry out in here? Probably not, because everything's still all bunched up, but it does keep everything nice and neat. You'll see all the lines start to fall out. And so whenever I'm ready to set it up, Doesn't take but a second to do that. And then I'll tighten up my loop so that it'll stay up on the end. And so you'll see my tarp kind of is just bunched up, and so we'll go ahead and spread it down.